Welcome on board Jonathan Schiessl, Naresh Mirani as well to analyze both the technicals as well as the fundamentals of the trading day. Gentlemen, hi, afternoon. Naresh, let me come to you first. Good going, I guess. Steady shape, holding on to 25,400. What next?
And with a little bit of support from Bank Nifty coming in, we are seeing first indications of reversal in a lot of names. ICICI Bank hit an all-time high. You have Axis Bank doing well for the last 3 days. You have Kotak Bank taking a little bit of a uptick, and even HDFC Bank making a little bit of a swing high. So if this continues on the Bank Nifty, we could continue higher on the Nifty, and now the supports shift closer to 25,100 on the Nifty and 51,400, 500 on the Bank Nifty.
So those are the, internals to watch out for. But just marking some more stocks and news right now. Macrotech Developers is in focus because Nomura initiated coverage with a target price of 1,600 rupees, 30% upside to yesterday's closing. Emami is down 5%, Godrej Consumers down 3%. That's because the government has raised the basic custom duty on the import of crude soybeans, sunflower and palm oil. So some of these stocks might get impacted on account of that. In fact, on FMCG, we did speak with Abneesh as well as the management or the former management of Dabur as well. We'll play out those sound bites. But before that, Jonathan, wanted your take regarding consumption as a basket. Now, overall demographics of India are quite strong right now. And rural recovery is also what the people have been talking about. How should one play the entire consumption theme in India, you believe?
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly India offers a fantastic opportunity in the whole consumption space. I think, interestingly enough, there's various ways you can play the consumption theme. Nothing too new from me here, really. I mean, financials are a broad way of playing increased consumptions. Obviously, as you point out, some of the actual FMCG companies themselves, another way to play it. There's various ways to play it. I think broadly speaking that the market does offer a lot from a consumption perspective. So multiple sectors, and it's a very exciting space and has been for some time.
Okay, point taken. So that's the view on FMCG. But what will be the impact of this increase in the import duty for some of the edible oils? Let's hear out what Abdish Roy of Nuvama had to say.
Today, of course, the edible oil sharp duty hike has happened. So what we see is Q2, no impact of that because already most of the Q2 is done. Plus, companies generally have some inventory. But in H2, we see most of the food companies taking price hike, given there is a sharp inflation in the edible oil because of the duty hike by 20%. So that should help overall pricing growth also. We need to see if any impact in the margins, but we don't see much impact given this is an industry-wide issue. So we like Britannia also in that space. So we have been quite positive and had a strong buy there. The stock has done well. We expect high single-digit volume growth for Britannia also to continue. Nestle we see in the near term slight underperformance given they are facing challenges in the Maggi portfolio because there is a consumption switch towards other forms of snacks. Even in the NAN and lactogen infant nutrition, there is some consumption pressure. So we'll prefer Bikaji and Britannia in that space.
Right. Jonathan, wanted to get your thoughts in on FMCG because, up until from COVID to now, we've only seen, urban India binge on to the consumption spree and now rural seems to be making a comeback. Tactically, would you think that this makes for a good investment and do you actually see a meaningful recovery at play when it comes to, rural spend in FMCG?
Yeah, you're quite right. I think a lot of analysts have been waiting for this rural spend to pick up for a while. And clearly, as you say, it seems to be coming through now. It looks pretty sustainable to me. Obviously it swings between urban and rural from on a short-term basis from a consumption perspective. But overall, I think consumption still remains the cornerstone of the India story. And, broadly speaking, it continues to look good to us, actually.
Taken. Naresh, what's the sense on the chart of BSC as well as Godfrey Phillips?
BSC has seen a single day move out of nowhere. The stock was sideways, making a slow and steady move. So it's more an event move. And the stock has already gone into a new all-time high. So continue to be a positive move. It's just that one has to wait for a little bit of a fade off to look out for an entry. Godfrey is a similar case where the stock has been trending for the last 1 month from 4,500 to almost 8,000 now. The stock has just continued in a one-way momentum. One could only way participate is by keeping a trailing stop loss. But at current levels, fresh buying would not be a good risk reward.
Right. Okay, that's the take coming in on some of the buzzers today. Also, take a look at what, for instance, Shriram Finance is up to. Morgan Stanley, of course, has come out with a note where they've guided for that 16 to 17% growth in FY25 in terms of AUMs. They've talked about, passenger vehicles, MSME, gold loans, as to how all of it will be a key good growth driver for Shriram Finance. For SBI Life as well, they're expecting an 18 to 19% individual APE growth for FY25 as they believe growth is only going to pick up further in the third quarter. So these are a bunch of stocks which are, of course, in focus, but not really seeing any material move coming in there. Because I don't think there is any, target change in terms of price target, that is, on these particular stocks. Other than that, of course, while banks clearly seem to be the flavor, CLSA has come out with a note on Axis Bank. They maintain their outperformance with a target price of 1,400 on Axis. So that's definitely one stock which continues to be in focus. They're saying they have enough equity capital in the near term, and they expect Axis to grow loans 3 to 4 percentage points faster than what the industry is likely to do. Naresh, on the charts, which out of the private banks is looking strongest to you?
So clearly the strongest one is ICICI Bank. If you look at it in terms of relative outperformance, the only one which is actually hitting a new all-time high. And it has been an outperformer all through the last couple of years. Then if you come down next, it continues to be Axis Bank, which has done well over the last 3-4 sessions. But overall, that's been the strength. And next we come to the laggards, which could actually turn, which is where you get this list of HDFC Bank, Kotak Bank, and IndusInd Bank. Both have all these three names have been sideways for the last 3-4 years. So look interesting. So the whole basket could be looking interesting, but strongest is ICICI, the weakest is HDFC Bank.
Still looking smart. Dixon holding up a good 7%. There's MCX, BSE. The exchange stocks are the ones which are really roaring in the session right now. In fact, MCX is almost pulling through with a 7% gain. And BSE as well will just come up for you on your screens. That also is now notching up almost 17.5%, no less. There's Nalco, there's Biocon, and PVR Inox. These are some of the other buzzers in trade. Vijay Rajani too joins in on the show right now. Vijay, hi, afternoon. What's any sectoral trend that you're picking up? What's looking attractive to trade?
Yeah, so Nifty is into a trend only. For last 2 trading sessions, Nifty is just consolidating, but the primary trend is up, and we feel that the Nifty is headed for the targets of 25,525, which is the immediate target. So overall trend remains bullish, and Bank Nifty has been outperforming. So we feel that Bank Nifty in the coming days can participate very well from here. So one of the bank stock which I like from here is the IndusInd Bank, which is forming a inverted bullish head and shoulder pattern on the daily chart. So looks quite strong. So it can do well from here. So IndusInd Bank around 14701 can go long in trading. 1440 should be the stop loss on the upside. 1520 should be the target. The another theme which is working right now is the capital market theme. So one of the stocks which is related to mutual funds equity related capital market theme is the CAMS. So CAMS is looking very strong today. 4480, 4490 should be the entry price. On the downside, I see a strong support at 4400, which can be kept as a stop loss. And on the higher side, 4700 should be the next target for the stock. So CAMS is looking good for the next 3 to 4 days trading sessions. And IndusInd Bank is one of the another stock which I like on the long side.
Capital market theme, a lot of stocks are actually doing quite well, not just BSE, MCX, but an Angel One is up in the trading session. A JM Financial has perked up. You also have CDSL, which is buzzing around in the trading session. In fact, not a similar theme, but PTM as a fintech too is mighty excited right now. There is a bit of an up move of almost 4.5% on PTM as well. Jonathan, the question to you then, financialization of savings is a big theme that has been working in India, and it's just expected to accelerate. Do you think it makes sense to invest a part of your portfolio into this financial market ancillaries?
Absolutely. I mean, clearly, it's a trend with a long way to go, as you say. And there's various ways you could invest in some of these these non-bank financials, which are a direct play on it, or even, obviously some of the banks as well are clearly going to benefit from that trend. But it's definitely a trend that I think has further to go, and it's certainly one which India has offered for some time and still will offer for some time in the future.
Sugar stocks as well are doing very, very smartly. Remember, the government has now allowed sugar mills to produce rectified spirit and ENA from sugarcane juice, and that's really auguring well for the entire space. Naresh, any trading opportunities? We've seen quite a buzz in sugar already, though.
So the smaller names look interesting because they've not done well. So a Dhampur sugar or a Dalmia sugar, which have been at the lower end of the trading range. So a Dalmia Bharat sugar, which has broken out today above 490 odd levels, looks interesting. So I would go with a basket of these names. Many of them have gone through a sideways consolidation for the last 2 years, some for 1 year. So in this, Dhampur, Dalmia could be interesting.
Jonathan, just want to come to you on the entire energy transition theme, because many in the market do believe that this is going to be a multi-decadal opportunity, and given the vast supply chain and the various mediums of energy that are being looked at as opposed to traditional fossil fuels, this could really throw up a sizable opportunity for investment as well. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. It's a huge transition, which is going to take decades. I think the issue obviously is financing and technology. I think certainly in some markets elsewhere in Europe and the US, there's been a little bit of a pushback about the whole move because of the sheer cost involved and obviously the infancy of many of these technologies. Yes, some of these technologies certainly are getting more efficient and better, but the whole infrastructure that needs to be set up is going to take some time to roll out as well. I think it is an interesting sector. I think it's the move towards it globally is something which is not going to be turned back, but I think it will take time and we've time and money.
Take a bit of a time, but then which are the themes, Jonathan, which you would recommend to avoid a profit book right now, because a lot of segments have run up and there might be some sort of churn. Which are the spaces that you think have topped?
That's a difficult one. I think certainly when you look at the Indian market vis-a-vis other emerging markets, it's done incredibly well. A lot of domestic retail savings have been going into the equity markets, chasing IPOs. And it carries on going higher. I think India just in the short term is at risk potentially of a little bit of a sell-off. I'm not saying a major reversal, but I think some of the hotter sectors, particularly in the mid-cap space and below, probably need to just let off a bit of steam. I think when we look, the financial area still looks good to us. The banks still look good to us. IT globally, the IT sector looks okay. I think the trends there are very healthy. So broadly speaking, the broader market probably needs a little bit to come off a little bit, but overall we're still bullish on India on a medium and longer term view.
Ravi Dharamshi as well. We were just chatting with him earlier today about the entire energy transition theme. He talked about power, solar, as to how these could be the fuels of the future, and that's where the energy transition is actually taking place, and what kind of opportunities he sees within the space.
Our generation side, there is going to be new sources like solar, wind, nuclear, biofuel. I think out of all the 4 technology, it will be the solar that will be the backbone of the entire energy transition, because solar is the cheapest form of energy that humankind has generated, probably since the time when we used to rub stones to produce energy. So this is going to be deployed at a mass scale. In fact, even the recent price crash that we have seen is actually an inflection point for major deployment of solar throughout the world. A lot of money is going to be spent in the next 5-7 years across the world in getting the grid up to the speed to accommodate for the renewable power that is going to become larger and larger portion of our energy mix. So it is like before we start selling cars, we have to pave the roads. If the roads are not there, there's no point selling the cars. The power transmission is also similar. First we have to lay down the wires and the grid before we can move to the renewable energy. And the third piece of it is the electrification of everything, from mobility to logistics to industrialization to production. Everything will be electrified, and that will give rise to a lot of energy efficient products and so on and so forth. Or basically EV in the cars is also part of that thing. So it's a very broad based themes with new technologies on the horizon, like green hydrogen, battery storage, and it's a large trend that is going to stay in effect for 20-30 years, and we can move from bucket to bucket over that period and benefit from it.
Okay, that's that on some of the energy transition themes that are playing out in the market, and Ravi Dharmshi believes are going to play out for the next 3 decades, if not more. Other than that, of course, let's also focus on what Bajaj Housing Finance is up to and what a stellar listing this has turned out to be. It gapped up immediately over 100% premium and continues to maintain that 135% move as opposed to its issue price, that of $70. 165 is where that stock currently is. In fact, we should play some sound bites as well from Mr. Bajaj from the listing. He, of course, answered a few questions from ET Now as well in the sidelines of the press conference that they did, conduct post the listing. And that stock will just come up for you on your screens. But or rather that soundbite. But having said that, Bajaj Finance is the one which is tempered today. That's down about 3.5%. There's Bajaj Finserv as well, which is also lower by about 2.5% as we speak. So, other than that, some of the other financials as well, which are not looking okay. SBI, for instance, that down also 0.5% right now. Reliance too has flattened out a little bit. But here's Sanjeev Bajaj from the sidelines of the Bajaj Housing Finance listing.
We've had very strong growth, but this is in the background of a very strong, consistently growing economy. And if you look at credit cycles in India, we expect steady credit growth at 12 to 15% in the housing industry. And on the back of that, we are enthused that we can continue to grow strongly. The economy is showing very strong tailwinds, and that's what gives us this comfort. Shareholders should expect a business that grows with high quality, a high level of corporate governance, that brings the right blend of technology in this particular business, and sustained growth with high focus on quality of the business and a diversified book is what we look forward to building.
So that's the verdict coming in from the management of Bajaj Finance, or Housing Finance, that is. But Jonathan, what about autos as a theme? Do you think that has peaked out, and this entire EV disruption and the kind of policy changes that are happening make it difficult? What's your investable theme as far as autos are concerned?
Yeah, I mean, the space, the whole EV discussion clearly is a complex one. It's particularly in a market like India, where some of the roads in the major urban areas are clearly already very congested, and the infrastructure still needs to be rolled out, certainly in the EV side. I think the trend is clearly shifting towards that space, but possibly not as fast as many had originally expected. And then clearly you have other issues around, yes, the cost of the batteries have come down substantially, but it'll be interesting to see if more of the traditional local suppliers in India can really step up into this space. So it's a fascinating space. Perhaps growth expectations are a little bit too high just at the moment. And if you look in some other markets, the plug-in hybrids seem to be the solution in the very short term.
Right. Okay, we're going to take a very quick break on that note. But as we do that, here's a clarification coming in from the Adani Group, who's refuted the claims around the fake press release doing the rounds. In fact, in an official statement, the group has said that certain vested interests with malicious intent are circulating multiple fraudulent press releases, including the one titled Adani Group denounces baseless accusations and threats, I beg your pardon, related to their presence in Kenya. In fact, the company has also threatened legal action against false narratives.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.